Welcome to Co-Parenting Confessions. I am your host, Alysha Price, and I am really excited to have you here today because we are going to be talking about do not call me a single mom. I want to make sure that you guys understand exactly why that is triggering. And I have a very special guest today that is going to help me talk about this. Author, entrepreneur, and mother of five, Deetra Gary is in the building.
Hi.
Welcome.
Hey, Alysha.
Hey, I'm so happy to have you here today. We have been talking for, I think it's probably 2 years. We met on
It's been a
Facebook.
long time. Yes.
Because we do similar work. And I think I found you or reached out to you, inboxed you, and then we started talking and we're just like in touch. And this is my friend that I've never met who is in Atlanta, Georgia. And I am excited to introduce you guys to her because she is doing amazing things in Atlanta. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm so honored to be here and to be able to watch what you've created. I mean, I've been in the background cheering you on in the stands.
Thank you so much.
And it's amazing. It's amazing.
You.
I'm so honored to be here. Thank you. I know we talked a couple of years back concerning, what I do, what you do, and how we can, collaborate with that. So it's so great to be here with you.
Yay. So I want people to know why you're so amazing. And we are naming this show very similar to the title of your book, Don't Call Me a Single Mother. And I want you to tell the audience a little bit about your book. What made you write this book and what is it about?
Whoa, that's a lot. I don't know where to start. But of course, I am a mother of five. So I know what it means to be what, society calls us, which is a single mother. And through the years, raising my children through different stages, my oldest is 24 and my baby is 10. So yeah, don't ask. But with that, I have all stages. I have adults that are in college. I have high school. I have middle school. And well, she's not in middle school anymore, but now I have elementary school. So I've had them all in different levels at the same time.
Yes.
So with that, I have been, through different instances and different parts of my life, where there were, of course, a lot of ups and downs. And with that, you get those two little words, single mother, single mom. And it's like, and what I learned just through the journey of being a mom and motherhood with those two particular words is that it has become a handicap.
Yeah.
And I didn't want to get hung up with that particular handicap as far as, well, you're a single mother, so you can get, this amount of Section 8, and you can get a home with your Section 8, or you're a single mother, woe is you. You can't do too much because you don't have enough help to do it. All sorts of things, and then when you hear those two words, it's like a pin drops, right?
Yep.
It's like, oh my gosh, she's a single mother. Like what? And the whispers start, and whatever's going on through their heads, like, oh my God, how did she get here? And the judgment of it, And I talk about that in my book. It's very short. It's kind of set up somewhat like a journal where, I put my thoughts into a book and relay them to a lot of the women that I know that have experienced and kind of created a voice for that as well.
I love that. So similarly, we have this in common that we both written books and took our...
Congratulations.
I know. Thank you so much. We took our personal experience and it was healing for me personally to write my book. All of the things that I thought that I probably had already dealt with and were over. As I started to write, it was just like, going through this whole process of healing all over again, a different level of healing. Would you say that same thing happened for you in the process of
Oh,
writing? Yeah.
absolutely. Absolutely it did. I remember, handing my book over to the editor and having to read it all at once because, I
Yes.
was transcribing it
Yep.
in the parking lot at the library. I'm writing some and putting things together. But once the whole entire book was together and I read it, oh, I mean, I was in tears.
Yep.
And you don't know because as you're pouring out, right, your experiences, you're pouring out, what this really means to you.
Yeah.
It's definitely healing. There were some very transparent moments that I put
Mm.
in that book. One, there, I mean, it's you see by the titles
Yep.
alone, and it's a very short book, only 8 chapters, but it's an outpour of going from being a survivor to an overcomer, and
Mm.
that I could not do this alone. And that's not mine. I want to say that as well.
Yep.
That's not my, hey, this is a feminist group. We can do it by ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't have these kids by myself, girl. So
Okay.
that's definitely not the case. However, until you decide to get married, until you get to that or mate or partnership or wherever you are in your particular life, if you want to do that, this is what you do meanwhile
Mm-hmm.
in that
Mm-hmm.
moment, in that time, until you get your husband or your mate.
Yeah. And I
Mhm.
love that you mentioned that it's not your intention to say, I'm a single mother. I'm empowered. I got this. I can do this. You're saying, don't call me a single mother. Don't look at this as a handicap. Don't have this to be, kind of this overarching kind of umbrella title over me that then
Mhm.
dictates how I move in my life. And I love that you say that because I did not know until I got on my soapbox about being a co-parent how
Mhm.
much I did not like being called a single mother. And when I saw the title of your book and we connected, it resonated so much with me because I don't hear other women really complain about being called a single mother.
Mhm. Mhm.
And to the point that you mentioned, where when you are able to call yourself a single mother, there are some types of subsidies and aid and
Yes.
different things that come along with that title that some people are okay with riding that wave. Some people are
Mhm.
okay with that. For
Mhm.
me, I was so dead set on not being called a single mother that I would do things like this. I would go to my son's school, and it could just be a random day. I had to pick him up, and a teacher might talk to me, or they would say, "Hey, can you come back and go to this field trip, or whatever the case may be?" And I would say, "Oh
Mhm.
yeah, I'll talk with my son's father about that, and I'll see which one of us can go." You know,
Mhm.
um, and I would always make sure, no matter how minuscule the ask was or the conversation was, when I was in the
Mhm.
school setting, I would always reference that my son's father was present.
Mhm.
Always.
Mhm.
And I did not know why I was doing that until I started writing my book. It
Mhm.
was like,
Mhm.
it just was um, a reflex, right? It
Yes.
was and it was a defense mechanism. I
Mhm.
learned that I was saying that he was present because I didn't want to be judged. I did
Yes.
not want people to judge me, but more than that, I did not want people to judge my son. I
Mhm.
didn't want
Mhm.
people to look at him and think, here's another young Black man who
Mhm.
doesn't have a dad. Can
Mhm.
you relate to that at all?
Oh, I'm over here like she all in my book. She just in it. But
Yeah.
there's one particular chapter that I have that's called the shame,
Mm.
and I don't want to give it away. Go by the book,
Yep.
but
Go buy the book.
with that is I'm speaking about the shame of being called a single mother and the judgments of, oh, you're not married. So I would allow, because of what I established in my professional life, people were like, oh, well, she's got it together and this and this and that. Well, what's wrong with her? Why is she not married? Like, what's the, you understand? What's the big deal? What's going on here? Or either people would assume that I'm married because they have such a stigma on what a single mother looks like.
Exactly.
Like, her name is Shaquana, and she in the street, and she, living this life with 14 baby daddies and, all of that, right? So there were times where people would automatically call me Mrs. Gary, right? And I would let them, because I didn't want to have to explain. I didn't want to have to go into, I'm not married,
Absolutely.
And they would automatically assume that I had a husband, and I would allow them to. And I really had to dig into that, and really kind of, and it was a quiet thing. Like, nobody really knew about it. I never really, exposed it. And as you said, until I wrote this book. And all of that just spilled out on the pages. All of it.
I love it. Love it. The other thing that I feel like what we're saying is also, you don't have to become an author to write what you're feeling, to write out what your experience is. We've both had this experience where we were able to, through that process of, creating a book, to have that therapeutic, kind of outpour of, like Sheree would say, who gonna check me, boo? Nobody else is gonna check you. But when you do that writing and that reflecting, it's an opportunity to really dig deep and check yourself. Like, why am I doing some of the things that I'm doing? Why am I overcompensating? Why does this bother me? What exactly does that actually mean? So we talked a little bit before we started, and you do identify as a co-parent. So can you tell me a little bit, and just the audience too, of like what your co-parenting dynamic is, and how that might have had, I would say, a role in you not wanting to be labeled a single mother?
Here we go. Okay, you ready? You ready?
I'm ready.
All right, let's go. Okay. So my co-parenting, especially with my first son, I talk about this as well in my book. But with my first son, it was my first experience of being a mother. Of course, and that's the other thing, as being, a solo mom, that people, we didn't ask or sign up to say, hey, I want to be a single mom. I don't know any women that said, I want to be a single mom. And if they do, that's a separate conversation that we need to have with them. But most that I know, whatever the situation has been, they did not expect to be this. Right. So with that being said, with my oldest, and with my first time having to be a co-parent, it was very rough. And it was a lot of feelings involved because of the breakup. Right. And it came to a place of, retaliation, some things to where I'm going to use the child. If you're taking them somewhere, if I'm taking them somewhere, well, who you with, what you understand, that kind of stuff that created this dynamic between us, to where it eventually ended up to where we had to go to court. So I was in and out of the court system with my oldest, in and out. And I remember the last time that we were in court, the judge said to both of us, he said, Mr. So-and-so, I see you, I see what you're doing as far as with your life and things of that such, you're great at this and that. And he said, Miss Gary, I see you as well. And you're doing this and that. And you're a great mom. And why are you guys here and not at Starbucks? kids,
Wow.
right? Having a conversation about how to raise your child together.
Mm.
And it was as if we had a rope, you know what I mean? Like a
Yep.
tug of
Tug of
war.
war.
And my
Yep.
son was in the middle and he experienced it. He
Yep.
saw it,
Yep.
you know? And for me, especially me having other kids and have moved on to another relationship, having 3 other kids with another man, right?
Mm-hmm.
And moving on to another relationship, for me, it was important that he saw that fight, right? So I intentionally, as the situations were coming to me, oh no, because I wanted him to know that I was fighting for him. I wanted him to know that I wanted him. Right?
Wow. Yeah.
Not as a drama queen.
Yep.
I don't care nothing. I was done with it.
Yep.
Okay. I was done with it.
Yep.
But for my son, I wanted him to know that he was wanted, he was needed, and he was loved. So I pushed in a lot of ways that I shouldn't have. I know later now.
Wow.
But I did push because I wanted him to know. I never wanted him to grow up to say she didn't fight for
Yes.
me. Okay. So it was very rough. My first co-parenting experience was extremely rough, like so rough to where I had nervous breakdown.
Yep.
It was bad. It was very bad. So progressing on and moving on to different relationships, now I have, we're not together, but I have the most amazing co-parenting relationship.
Oh, wow.
And I always poke fun at my, my oldest dad I knew it wasn't me. It was you all along, right?
Like, I can do this.
I can do this. And it's always been in my heart and my desire to do it. But like I said, when there's feelings involved, you have to learn how to separate those feelings to be able to benefit your child. With my co-parenting experience, now we go on trips together.
Oh, wow.
They go there. They come to my house. He dates. I date, but we're able to come together, and all of my kids are not his.
Yeah.
But he treats them as such even after our relationship.
I love it.
And we flourished in a way to be able, and it was important to me that I was able to succeed in that place because it was so rough. So I removed those feelings. I removed and shifted myself for the benefit of my children. They love him. And I love them. And even though we're not together, I loved him enough to create them, right? With him. So we gotta figure it out. And we did. And it's been wonderful. He's one of my best friends.
I love it.
And if I get married, I want him to come. I want him to be a part. All of that. But it definitely turned around for the good of my children. And I see them flourishing because of it. So
that's amazing. You've said so many things that I'm like, oh my gosh, I got to tap into that. I love that you were able to be transparent and sharing that you put your son in a place to see the fight so that he would understand how important he was to you. And I don't know that I've ever heard anyone admit that. I think that there are a lot of men who can relate to that statement. And I see that a lot in my work, where a lot of men are angry about what's happening, angry that their family life maybe didn't turn out how they envisioned, or that there's someone else, playing the role as father. And they are doing things that maybe aren't, in the best of their character, because they want their kids to know that they care. They want their kids to know, like, I'm not leaving you. I want to still be present. And I'm sure there are mothers that feel the same way and don't realize sometimes how damaging that can be when your children are present and they see and hear a lot of what's happening. So I just want to say thank you for sharing that. That's so dope. Ugh, I got a chill when you said it. It was just like,
Oh.
It was so good because people are not that honest. And that's what
Mhm,
co-parenting confessions is about. Is really
mhm.
about dropping those nuggets that help other people see themselves in what we're saying and can recognize some of the missteps. Now, the other thing that you said that I have to tap into, because I feel like I can kind of relate to this, and this is going to have to be a whole nother episode, is when you feel like your co-parent is kind of like your brother. Like, how weird is
Yeah.
that? You know what I mean? But you get to the
Can we
point where you're
say that
like,
out loud?
I mean, it sounds kind of crazy, but where it's like, I'm so cool with dude that it feels like we're like, brother and sister or like besties,
Yeah. I mean, yes.
you
I mean,
know?
yes.
And I wish that for so many people. Um,
Yes.
have you seen in your co-parenting relationship, because you guys are able to travel together and do a lot of things together, that it's been difficult for you when you're dating or difficult when he's dating, that the other people involved don't quite understand your dynamic?
Um, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
definitely.
Yep.
Especially I did have to build some boundaries
Mm-hmm.
in some things because, you know, him having a key to your house or you having a key to his house, not that we popped in at each other's
Yeah.
house,
Yep.
but just those types of,
Yeah.
and especially if you're not dating at the time, you're not thinking about that
Absolutely.
because you're like, well, I need you to be able to do this and this and this and this. So here,
Yeah.
and you're putting him in positions to do things
Yep.
as a man that you need done in your life and in spaces, and you're not with anybody at the time, but then later it's like, oh gosh,
Yeah.
I do, like, I'm a wife, I gotta prepare myself and get some boundaries here.
Yeah.
So I had to do that. Now,
Yeah.
that's a little hard,
Mm-hmm.
I ain't gonna lie to you, because especially when a man has been used to open access,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
Even in a good relationship, having open access, and you're like, hey, give me my key back.
Yeah, now that one is deep, Detroit. As I'm gonna tell you, my co-parent ain't had no key to my house, and since his
Yeah,
name was
I'm
on the
just saying,
lease.
yeah, that's how far, like, for real.
Yeah,
Because I wasn't in a relationship at that time, was trying to heal
yeah,
and get Deetra together,
yep,
spending time with God so that he
yeah,
can do the work in me that he needs to do. And I just wasn't concerned with that.
yep,
Then I look up and I'm better and I'm in a much better
yes,
Deetra. And I'm like, ooh, let me fix this. Let
yep,
me,
yep,
let me pull back here and there. And, we
yeah,
haven't had anything that was, disrespectful to any other,
yeah,
like if he had a relationship or anything of that such, but it could be
yeah,
because it was so much
yep,
access.
yep.
So I had to bring boundaries to the
Mm-hmm.
access.
No, that's good, and I
Mhm.
love that you even share that because a lot of times people outside of your co-parenting dynamic just will not get it. And it's the
Mhm.
same as it is with, family life, right? Like people don't
Mhm.
necessarily understand why maybe you might have a certain tradition in your family or certain rules or certain guidelines because that's just how your family operates. And it's the
Yeah.
same when it comes to co-parenting. And I'm sure, like you mentioned, you've had different co-parenting relationships. They're not all
Mhm.
one size fits all. It's really
Mhm.
about how you interact with that individual. And that's
Mhm.
actually what makes co-parenting work is to respect the individual and really look at what you need to do together and not try to
Yeah.
make it what somebody else is doing or what somebody else needs. Now,
Yes.
to get us back to the don't call me a single mother, I
Mhm.
want to point out I saw a statistic very recently and it blew my mind. And so I know a lot of other people don't know this, but that the fastest growing group for single mothers is white women that are between the ages of 18 and 35. And they have some college education. So not even college graduates is the
Mm.
fastest growing group of single mothers. And I have a couple of different ideas why.
Mhm.
But before I dive into that, it shocked me because what we see on television, you know, in the media, what society mostly talks about, and the image that we have of what a single mother is almost always a Black woman.
Always.
Right.
Always.
And so when I
Always.
read that, I was like, whoa, you know, and I think for some reason it benefits society to diminish Black women who are, you know, the fastest growing in college college graduates, opening businesses, fastest growing group for entrepreneurs. So if we can put any kind of hamper on any of that, let's just make sure we know that them is the ones that's the baby mamas.
Them is the ones.
Them is the baby mamas, though. They might be smart and they might be starting businesses, but they the baby mamas. Them is the baby mamas.
Yeah.
And I was shocked to see that.
Yeah.
And part of my work, part of my work is to change the narrative. I want to bring more of these types of conversations to the forefront and more images, right, of what mothers are doing, what they look like, who they are, what their vision is for their family, the goals that they've accomplished, to help create a real full picture of, you know, what this is. And, you know, this is not, you know, women who are destitute, don't have nothing, can't make a relationship work. There are many reasons why we're calling ourselves co-parents and hate the term single mom.
Yes.
You know, it's crazy. So the other thing we talked a little bit about was single dads. They're seen as heroes, right? So if a man walks into the room and says, I'm a single father, people are helping him. People are congratulating him for doing all the work that he's doing with his children. Even if he's not doing it to the best of his ability, he still gets a gold star. But as that label of single mother, something is wrong with you. Something, you need help. There's something going on that we should, you know, kind of look at you with, you know, the kid gloves. And it really like puts fire under me to be called a single mom. It really does.
That you can't achieve or that you can't move to but this far, right? In life because of you being a single mother. It's amazing how, I mean, even if you remember with Kevin Samuel, right? Oh, he got on my nerves real bad.
Yes.
You know, even with him, and if she has children, she is this.
She's done.
I put in my book, I made sure I did. Let me tell you something, ladies. When you had children, your stock went up. I don't care what they said. I don't care what they are, because now you are in a place to build legacy. Legacy.
Yeah.
And it's up to us and the examples that we have been, right? You, Alysha, as a mom, me as a mom, and this movement that we are creating to tell other mothers, I'm the poster child and I can do it. You can do it, right? But it's going to be some hardships. You're going to go through some things. I've lost everything and had to start over and get back up again, still while raising kids, still while trying to learn who I am, right? At the same time. So with that being said, you know, it's important that we push the movement because there's I know personally here, just in this city alone, of people and wonderful mothers, right? Solo moms that are doing it by themselves. They don't want to, but they are doing it by themselves, and they're amazing examples. Amazing. They're just mothers. They're just mothers, beautiful mothers. And I started a mom tribe after this book.
Oh, wonderful.
Because I wanted people to see that, it's not Bonquisha and
Right.
twerking in the street, and the baby running around with Pampers on, and don't nobody know where the baby is. And
Yes.
of course,
Yep.
we have some scenarios and things like that, but that is not all moms that are single. It's
Yep.
not.
Yep.
It's not. And that narrative is untrue.
It totally
So, with
is.
you saying that, I think it's very powerful and important and purpose filled for us to push that narrative of what it is now. Like I said, nobody, I mean, that S on your chest gets very heavy,
Mm-hmm.
right? Of everything that you have to do. But if it's your desire to be married, it's your desire to find your mate, and who God has called in your life, until then, let's come together,
Yeah.
and show each other what we can do. I look at you, right? And I can say, gosh, she's doing this, 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 and this.
Yeah.
Let me kind of rearrange some things and see and how, because I can do it too if
Yep.
she can do it.
Yep.
And she has this and she has that. Deetra has 5. People ask me all the time, how do you do it? Well, first and foremost, I talk to God. I'm like,
Okay.
Lord, help me with this one. This is yours. Help me with that, right?
Yep.
And secondly, I one of the prayers that I had is, God, do not allow me to get so busy to where I can't see the matters of my children's heart, right? Because it was important to me, even growing up, where I felt like with some scenarios that sometimes I was forgotten about,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And so I wanted to succeed, and I wanted to do things not just to put Jordans on their feet, but to build legacy and to show them that it can be done.
Yeah.
Right. And the respect that my children have for me, and what I have taught them and the values in their life.
Mm-hmm.
And not just being busy, but really intentional about being a mom.
Yep. Yep.
There's a lot of us out here that are like that.
Mm-hmm.
And it should
And
be
you know
shown to
what?
the world.
There's something too, I think, about being a solo parent in your home
Mhm.
that makes you more intentional. That
Mhm.
makes you pour a little bit more into your children to be more conscientious of the way they're moving in the world, the way they show up when they're in the world.
Mhm.
At least it really was for me. It was so
Mhm.
important to me. And I would have these little talks with my son on a regular basis, like, man, it's me and you against the world. I would
Yes.
just get with him, and it could be the hardest moment that I could have ever imagined going through. But it was like his little face, his little hands, him being
Mhm.
right with me. It just gave me this strength. It gave me this power. And then I was able to pour that right back into him. And there's
Mhm.
something about that mother son dynamic, I think also that I had with, just he and I living together for, majority of his, growing up.
Mhm.
And he's still in the house with me now. But he's my broke bestie.
Yeah.
Like
Exactly.
that's just, that's it. We have a bond that's just, truly amazing. And I'm so grateful for that. One of the things to talk about this in a real funny way too is that I remember not wanting to bring my son to the barbershop. And
Really?
yes, girl, as a single mom, that was a thing for me. When I took him to the barbershop, I remember one of the first times and being the only woman in the barbershop at the time. And it was just like, oh, here we go. I don't want Miss Lady, here somebody's asking for your phone number. Where's your man at? They're trying to give $5 to your son to seem like they, helping out or doing something it was like, come on. For sure,
Or
I
the
didn't want to be.
coaches, right? When
Yes.
they're on the team.
Yes. Coaches too. Very good point.
Yes.
Girl,
Yes.
it goes down when it comes to these sports.
It goes down.
The football coaches, the basketball coaches, they are looking for the single mom.
Yes. Isn't that crazy?
Yeah, it's real.
We calling y'all out. So stop it.
It's real. And this is another, I love that you even, said that about the coaches, because this is another reason why it's like, don't call me a single mom. I don't want to wear that label because I come into a space and now you think I need you. You think you're going to be a savior for my son and I.
That you can manipulate me because I'm here by myself. That's not okay, sir.
Yep.
Yeah. That's a big one.
Yes.
Of sports. Because I've been in and out of sports with my son. So trust me.
Yes. That's real. And because all of your kids are athletes.
Because it was kind of around the way with my homeboys. So it would be great when I went in there, even though, at some time they would be like, so girl, listen, I come here for that. But I didn't mind. And even sometimes I would sit in the car while they were, right
girl,
there.
We went to the barbershop 2 times and then I went and bought some clippers. I'm not kidding. I'm not kidding. We went 2 times. I went and bought clippers and I cut my son's hair because first of all, when we first went, he didn't like it. Like he would, he was, crying and really upset about getting his hair cut. But if his dad cut his hair, he didn't cry. And at the time, his father and I, we just, we wasn't on the co-parenting tip. We was not getting along. And so I was like, I ain't calling him to ask him to cut your hair. He should be calling me like, does he need a haircut? Right. And so here I was like, okay, you know what? I'm not going to call and ask. I'm going to do it myself. And so I went and bought some clippers, girl, and I cut my son's hair. Literally.
What happened? How did it go?
Girl, it turned out amazing. Oh, it really did. Because I mean, that's not too much that if I get fed up, I'm going to tell you right now, it's not too much I cannot accomplish. If I'm pissed off, it's going to get done.
Like, I'm going to get it done.
It is going to get done. I bought clippers. I cut his hair probably for about a good month and a half until his dad, was like, okay, I'm back. And he cut his hair ever since. And Jasir never went to the barbershop anymore.
Wow.
Yeah, it was a real thing for me. It was like, oh my gosh, I have to sit here in this barbershop and have 10 different people try to talk to me within this hour of a haircut. Like, come on.
Over and over. And you're like, oh my God. Yeah.
It's deep. So I love this because I think there are so many women that will hear themselves in our conversation, and we need to talk about these things. Like even, mentioning the coaches, like we want our kids to be involved in these extracurricular activities, but we also want them to be in a space where what's happening around them is, healthy, is safe. And parents should be able to feel like they're in a safe environment and not being preyed upon because you're showing up as a solo parent.
Yeah. My boys were very discerning. So they would pick up on it quick.
Yes.
I don't want to go back. Why?
Yep.
Because they picked up somebody trying to pick up my mama.
See?
And I don't want no. Those boys, I'm 3. The oldest one's 24, soon to be 22, soon to be 20.
Yeah.
When I tell you, I don't want to smell it.
Yes.
Okay? No.
Yep.
And
I love that you said that because, it's one thing for us to know it and for us to feel it and see it, but our children recognize when people are treating us different or responding to us in a different way because of it. 100%.
With me, with dating, right? I never brought anyone home. Like, they knew their dad. That's another reason why I said I had to create boundaries because it was always, him.
Yes.
And that was it. So I never brought anyone home that I was dating. I mean,
wow.
Never.
Yep.
Never. So whatever I did it outside.
Yeah.
And I came back home because it was important for me to have a safe space for my children. And they didn't see me with men in and out. Like they can't even tell you now who I've dated. I can tell you.
Right.
But they cannot. I just never did it. So they were very protective of me, on the flip side of that.
Yep. I was just going to ask you that. Like, what was the backlash of that? Because on a previous show, we've had this conversation where we talked about my son revealed that he couldn't remember seeing his father and I show each other any type of affection. He's
Oh
like, I knew
wow.
you guys loved each other, and I know we all lived together, and you guys got along, but he couldn't
Mhm.
remember seeing, that kind of like us hug each other. Well, there were hugs, but I think he was just thinking
Mhm.
more of like this romantic type of
Yeah.
intimacy, right?
Mhm.
And I was bothered, girl. Like we done explored this probably on the last 3, 4 episodes, because I was really bothered that when I walked away thinking like, did I deprive him of seeing me receive love? Did I
Mhm.
deprive him of seeing someone care for me? So I asked
Mhm.
him more about it. And then he did share that, no, I have seen that with a previous person that I dated. But I was like,
Mhm.
okay, like let me check here. And so we've debated a little bit here with some guests about whether or not that's a good thing to do or not a good thing, because we want our children to be able to see us um, receiving love and or know that, you know, that's going to happen at some point. But I think to your point too, it's important to know what your kids can handle and what you want to present to them. Yeah.
Mhm. Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, that's very important. And as far as the perceiving, or them seeing, I don't know that. I'm glad you said that,
Yep.
because I kind of sat in that a little bit
Yep.
with how they may have seen me in relationship.
Yeah.
I've never, you know, been openly like oozy,
Right.
even though I'm kind of lovey like with them in front of them. But it has been though very important for me that they do see the design.
Mm-hmm.
I have said that to myself.
Yeah.
And like I said, now I have big boys, they're grown, and then it's just me and the girls at the house. I definitely want that dynamic to
Yeah.
where they can really see how that should be.
Absolutely.
Because you should be able to see that. I
Mm-hmm.
can agree with that.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah, you made me kind of sit in that a little bit.
Right.
We got to come back for that.
Exactly. Because I mean, I really hadn't considered that until I was listening to him, and I was like, wow, did I deprive him of,
Mhm,
that example? Or
mhm,
just seeing, someone care for me. And
mhm,
and then also knowing too that we're not responsible for everything that they experience. And sometimes they're parents that get so caught up in wanting to provide an example for everything and be the model
mhm.
for everything that they would experience in life, and that's unrealistic. They're gonna learn some things outside of us. But that
Absolutely.
was a big one for me. I was like, oh my gosh, did he
And
not
there
see
is
me
a
be loved?
concern there.
Hmm.
These dating streets are weird. It's very
Yes.
weird outside, right?
Yes,
It's
it
weird.
is.
So with that, I, may like, let's just create a scenario here.
Yep.
Okay, I'm dating a guy. All right, we've had maybe 7 or 8, 10 dates. I don't know.
Yep.
And we're like, oh, I like you. I like you. Right. We're at my big, I'm 47. So we're at this big age. We're
Yep.
not trying to, we know, okay, now we know. Right.
Yep.
So I bring him to the house, and the kids are like, oh, I like him. And they're starting to vibe with him, but you're not really there.
Oh, yep.
Right.
Yep.
And then you've now exposed them to your children.
Mm-hmm.
And now you got to explain to them, well, I didn't like Bob because
Yep.
Bob, blah, 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 blah. Right.
Yep.
And then you do it again or again.
Right.
So it's like, well, who do you like, Mom? And they may not
Yep.
like the next person.
Yep.
And so it's just, I don't know. It's just hard.
Yeah.
That's hard.
It totally is.
Yeah, I just didn't want to. I didn't want the exposure to it.
I mean, that was the same for me.
Sides.
Same for me.
Mm-hmm.
I dated, but everybody did not come to my house. They did not meet my
Mm-hmm.
son.
Yeah.
There was only one other guy outside of his father that he actually, met and really like spent time around and knew that this person was in my life. Yeah.
Yeah, I have none outside them.
Yeah.
So when I
Wow.
do get married, they're gonna be like, what? Where did this?
Right. Where did he come from?
Oh, you like, yes, but yeah, I can't wait to talk about that in the future.
That
So
is
I'll
going to
bring
be
that up
amazing.
later.
We'll have to plan for it together because my husband is coming. I've been saying it.
That's
I'm
right.
speaking it.
Yes.
This is my partner. I'm ready for my partner.
I'm ready too. I am ready. And he is coming for both of us. So next time it'll be a little different and we'll be like this.
Right. We'll be chatting and showing. Yes. I love it. I love it. Deetra, I want to thank you so much for the time today and for talking to us about your book. Everybody go and check out Deetra's book, Don't Call Me Single Mother. It is available on Amazon and all of the outlets where you find your favorite books. She has some amazing tips and tools in there. And like she said on the show today, she gets vulnerable, she gets real and tells it like it TI is. And I just want to thank you so much for being here, being a friend to me via Facebook. And hopefully someday soon we will get to see each other in person and have you back on the show so we can unpack some more good stuff about what it means to not be called a single mother. And just thank you.
Thank you.
Yes.
Oh, this was so great.
It was.
It's been a long time coming. I'm so excited and so happy about it. And I hope that just everyone that sees it can just really I know it will illuminate to so many others.
Yes.
And I can't wait to get back here with you and for us to get together. We've been Facebook friends too long, okay? I love it, but I need you in my space.
Right,
okay?
Right. We have to. Thank you guys for tuning in this week to Co-Parenting Confessions. Please make sure you like and subscribe because we want you around, and make sure that you do not call somebody a single mom unless you check with them first. Don't be violating people out here. Peace.
NBC. No relation to NBC.